Good morning, students. Welcome to your English class. So, today we are going to continue the chapter which we started yesterday. That is from the book Flamingo, the last lesson. We have discussed few things about this chapter yesterday itself, like about the author, and this chapter raises the points related to patriotism, procrastination, linguistic chauvinism, as well as love towards the language. So, here in this chapter, you need to understand that we are having two characters. One is, I am going to write for you here is Little France. One is Little France, and second, M. Hamel, who is the French teacher. So these two are the characters here in the story. So this is about a France who was a little kid who was a French person only, the French boy, and he was about to go to the school. M. Hamel, he was a French teacher. So let's try to understand what exactly happened in the story. I'm going to read it line by line. So let's try to understand it here. So this story is like that. It says, I is about little Franz here. I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding. So little Franz was saying, I was already late for that day for that school, and he was in great dread of a scolding. Means he was afraid because he was late. So might be he would get the scolding from his teacher. So he was afraid, especially because M. Hamel had said that he would question us on participles. And he was afraid because he had not prepared anything on the topic called participles. First, he was already late for the school. Secondly, he had not prepared anything on participles. So there was a test on that. Now, participles is a topic of the grammar, right? And I did not know the first word about them. So he had not prepared for it. So he was he had the feeling of uh, fear. He was afraid that he would be scolded by the teacher. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. So he thought, as he had not prepared the things and he was late, so he thought he should be out only, he should not go to the school. And when he thought about to running away, actually he got tempted. I'm writing it here. He got tempted on the way. He got attracted by three things. First, it was warm, so bright, so he was attracted towards that thing first. Then the birds were chirping at the edge of the wood. So second thing, he got tempted towards the chirping of the birds. And in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling, and he got attracted or tempted towards the third thing, that was the soldiers, they were drilling there. So when he was already late, when he thought to run away, he got attracted towards those three things. That's what it's written. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles. He said, so these things were more tempting than the rule of participles. But I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. So he said that although I was attracted, although I was tempted by those three things, but still I resisted it. Still I maintained and I hurried for the school because I was already late. Then he said, when I passed, so little Franz was only narrating it, when I passed the town hall, so this is very important here, you can underline town hall. Yeah. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. So a question can come from this. This bulletin board point is very important. So there was a town hall and there was a bulletin board. So, and there was a huge crowd in front of that. So basically it means there was a news, there was some kind of information or news. So bulletin board is something where a piece of information is there for the people. And when the huge crowd was there, so obviously some kind of information was there. Now he mentioned, for the last 2 years, now you need to underline all these things, as I always mention, that you need to write down the keywords, key points, you need to write it. You can't miss those keywords. So he said, for the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. the lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer. So he said that from the last 2 years, whatever kind of information we are getting from this bulletin board, it's always about the bad or the sad news related to lost battles, draft, orders of the commanding officer. And I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? So it's very obvious if you know something related to it. So your next thing would be in your mind, now what happened next? So even he thought, what can be the matter now? Why the people were standing there? What bad or the sad news was there? But unfortunately, he did not stop for a longer period of time because he was already late for the school. So this is also very important for you to understand, right? Then we are having this next page here. Yeah. So it says about, then as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin called after me. Don't go so fast, bub. Underline it here. You will get to your school in plenty of time. So he said that when I was there, and then when I was hurried, when I was going fast, so there was a blacksmith who was standing there, watcher name. So for this RTC reference to context, these things can come. This blacksmith, he was standing with the apprentice. Apprentice is the trainees. He was reading the news which was on bulletin board, and he told this little Franz, don't go so fast, bub. Bub is young boy. You will get your school in plenty of time. So he said, don't run, because he was rushing. Don't run, you are having a lot of time to reach school. He said in general. But what little Franz thought, he said, I thought he was making fun of me. But he took it in a different manner. He thought that blacksmith was making fun of him, and reached M. Hammer's little garden all out of breath. And finally, he reached to that school. Now, this para is also very important here. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle. Now, great bustle means a huge sound, rushness is there. A great bustle which could be heard out in the street. So he said, usually when we go to the school, there's a great hustle, bustle, rushness, and there's the noise, everything, the sounds of the people or the other things which are easily heard by the people who are nearby to the school. So generally, what kind of sounds are there? Like you need to underline here also. Opening and closing of desk, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. So generally, these kinds of activities or sounds which we notice on a regular daily basis. But now, it was all still. But on that day, these sounds, these activities were not there. So he felt so strange. So it's written, but now it was all still. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. Now, what he said, because he was late, so he thought that it was in his mind that as I would reach school, because he was already late, so there was a commotion, means there would be a lot of movement going on in the school. So in that movement, I will try to reach to my desk so that people would not be able to notice me because they would be busy in those activities. But of course, that day, everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. But unfortunately, he was not able to reach to his desk without being noticed, because that day was looking like as quiet as Sunday morning. Now, Sunday morning basically means when there is no movement at all, because Sunday nobody is there. The school is very silent. So here the literary device we can say about it similarly, because as has been used, right? Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places, and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how blushed and how frightened I was. Now he said that when he reached near to the classroom, through the window he noticed that already his classmates, they were at their places, and M. Hamel was walking from one point to the other in the room with the ruler in his hand. So he opened the door so that he could take the permission. And he said, you can imagine how blushed and how frightened I was. Now, blushed means that everyone is going to notice him, because when somebody comes late in the class, everyone looks at that person only. So how blushed he was, and frightened because he was afraid that his teacher would scold him. But nothing happened. Now, this is very important. Nothing happened, M. Hamill saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." So he said that as soon as I have taken the permission, nothing strange happened. My teacher, he noticed me and very politely, very kindly said, "Come in, go to your place and sit quietly." And he even mentioned that we were about to begin without you. So it was very surprising thing for him that what exactly happened. So till here we are covering it up right now. So I guess it's clear to you that when our little Franz started for the school, he was already late. There was a test of participles, and he got tempted with those three things. And what happened at the bulletin board, and when he reached the school, what unusual things he noticed. So I hope it's clear to you. In the next class, we are going to continue from here, and please read it honestly and sincerely from the starting itself with me, and send your worksheet timely. God bless you all. Thank you.